24 to 30 months in order to be released. The timeline goes like this. From India, where usually Indian pilots go, or
Be honest with the class 2 medical examiner, because what will happen is, let's say if a person goes for class 2 medical examination with medication to hide certain medical problems. Second thing is, as you mentioned, cadet. So let's say when you are preparing for your selection process, it has to be clean shaved.
I don't know who said this, but it's like how you do anything is how you do everything. So in one sentence, if we have to put it in, that would be whether you want to or you don't want to is irrelevant, but you need to do it, so you will do it. It is far more important to be a good person rather than just a great pilot. What's up? Welcome back to India's #1 pilot podcast. Thank you for watching, viewing, subscribing. I'm Nilay, that's Nilay and Winged Engineer, and we're back here again with episode number 81. It's 81, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And this will be a Q&A session, and we'll be answering on the 79th episode's comments that have been posted as a question in the comment section. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your questions. That gives us your perspectives and your queries to answer about. And we hope that it helps you in some or the other way.
And thank you for writing these questions in a specific format like we asked for, so that tells us that you are paying attention to what we are saying in the podcast. And the reason why we asked to write the question in a specific format is that we understand what things you are looking at, what is your situation, and it becomes easier for us to guide you. So that is the reason we asked you to write questions in particular detailed format, and we are happy to see that. And now we'll start with the number one question.
Absolutely. Before we start, again, we'd like to reiterate that these are our views from our experience and our knowledge and whatever the skills that we have acquired over a period of last few years in aviation. Before you make any decision based upon whatever that we say, you have to do your due diligence. And there are times we try to be accurate with the information that we provide all times, but there can be gaps in our knowledge as well. Nobody is perfect, right? Neither we are. So we try to do our best in order to provide you with the perspective for the same. Okay. And we hope that you enjoy and get some information off of this episode 81. Let's begin. All right. Vandan Patel has asked, hello, I live abroad in Kenya, holding Kenya passport, but I have Indian OCI. I want to become a pilot in India. Which path do you recommend me to go with? Joining a flight school here in Kenya and then converting to DGCA license, or doing the whole process in India? Another question I have. Okay, let's get the next question. We'll jump on to afterwards.
So as he's staying in Kenya and he wished to become pilot in India, the best part would be to come to India and do his flight training, or you go outside India somewhere and do the training as per DGCA regulation. And this is for the conventional pathway. Now, if the finances are in place for Cadet Pilot Program, they do have an eligibility criteria for OCI holders as well. So you can definitely check that out. So if your end goal is to become a pilot in India, then cadet or conventional done with DGCA regulation, it should be easy.
Absolutely. So the question is whether he does the training in Kenya or India. That would be the primary question.
I would suggest to do it in India.
Okay.
Because see, one thing here I would like to say is I'm not aware about the Kenyan regulation, whether they have 100 hours of solo flight included in their curriculum. So what we can do is you can just reach us out on our Instagram, or you can sign up for consultation, and then we can have a one-on-one meeting to know about it. But I think India would be better, right?
Yeah. So because you're Indian OCI, you're also eligible to apply for cadet pilot programs in India, which you can choose to do should you wish to, and should you have the wherewithal to basically do that.
Hmm.
Second part would be if you want to do it in conventional pathway. Now in conventional pathway, it is such that if you're doing it from Kenya, you have to go through the DGCA website and exactly understand what is the flight training requirement. See, license from Kenya can be converted in Indian license. That's not a problem. The point is it feasible for you to meet the requirement of DGCA and the local authority in Kenya at the same time with minimum number of hours? If that is possible, then it makes sense that you can do it in Kenya. There is no problem with that. We are not exactly aware of what is the requirement in Kenya to get a CPL, or
Sure.
it is MPL, or what it is. Now, if we talk about MPL, that may or may not, you may or may not be able to convert it in India because it's not a CPL. Right. So just check with that requirement from what is it in Kenya. And if you decide to do it in Kenya, make sure that you meet each requirement that's there in order to get Indian CPL. And for that reason, Chintan said that instead of doing all of that, if you do your flight training in India, or if you do it with a cadet pilot program, the programs are structured in order to meet the DGCA requirement. Those are tailored programs to meet the DGCA requirement of getting a CPL. Yeah, moving on to the next question from Vandan Patel himself. Another question I have is that one of the reasons why I would like to become a pilot in India is that I have interest in flying Airbus aircraft. Kenya Airways has fleet of only Boeing aircraft as of now. Do you think wanting to become a pilot in India because of the availability of flying Airbus is a valid reason? What reasons can be considered proper reasons for one to choose to do their type rating in either Airbus or Boeing? Thank you.
So what I see this question as, like, if you ask me personally, yes, everyone has a favorite aircraft. Okay, it can be the Airbus, it can be even Boeing, it can be Embraer, ATR, any aircraft which they have. But initially, what I believe is the most important thing is the first job. So it doesn't matter, let's say if I'm starting off right now, it doesn't matter for me that if I'm flying an Airbus or a Boeing. First job is what matters to me more. Once I'm into the airlines, once I have experience of 3 to 5 years, and then maybe I want to move to my favorite aircraft. So that would be the right time to do it if I am really looking forward to fly my favorite aircraft. Okay. But initially, what I would do if I were in Vandan's place is I would take up the first opportunity of any aircraft that is given to me to fly for an airline.
Yeah, I would too. At the same time, it is very much of an individual choice, to be honest. And having Airbus as a choice doesn't hurt you as much, to be honest, because the number of aircraft in Indian aviation are growing rapidly, and majority of those narrow bodies are Airbus fleet. So it's a good choice, I would say. And we also have a bias by now because we know that, like aircraft, we fly that aircraft. So
Yeah.
we are A320 pilots. So yeah, we like that aircraft. There is no doubt about it. Do we not like Boeings? Yeah, definitely we do like Boeings. There is no problem with that. At the same time, if we have to switch aircraft now, there is a lot of learning curve that we have to get through in order to learn that aircraft, because every different aircraft has different limitations and same systems put together in a different manner, and the handling characteristics are a little bit different. See, hey, here's the thing. Every aircraft, be it a Cessna or A350 or a 777, they all have wings, they all have rudder, they all have elevator. Okay, they all have flaps.
Yeah.
If you pull, it's gonna pitch up. If you push, it's gonna pitch down. If you
Bank, it's gonna
it's
bank.
gonna bank. Yeah. If you that's what any aircraft does. At the same time, little bit tiny differences are there in flare and all of those things, and then Airbus has a lot of automation as well, so how the aircraft behaves, you get used to those things, and once you get used to those things, usually there is a reluctance on changing the aircraft, but not necessarily. If you look at pilots in the US, they switch from Boeing to Airbus to Boeing throughout their careers. Now, what Chandan mentioned, that it's not as important that which aircraft you fly as your first job, is considering that this is a long career. If you are 20-25 right now, you still have, I would say, 40 years ahead
Yes,
of you.
absolutely.
And in those 40 years, it's very less likely that you might stick to only one aircraft, right? At the age of after being a first officer on a 737 or A320, you eventually go to a wide body. It may be a Boeing or it may be an Airbus. Who knows, right? So considering that, it's okay, whichever aircraft that there is, first job is more important than the aircraft that you fly as first. But in your case, to be honest, your liking is working in your favor, and you have a good advantage that you have kind of benefits of dual citizenship. So you can eventually at a later stage switch airlines and go back to Kenya if you wish to, or remain in India, or go to Middle East, whatever that you may wish. That suits your career. Yeah, that those will be our 2 cents, to be honest, on this.
And one more thing is, like he mentioned, is it good to go to India and fly the Airbus? So keeping the aircraft thing aside, if he comes to India and does his flight training and gets an airline job in India, the career progression will be quicker as compared to airlines in Kenya. So if you're looking forward to a great career and you want to become captain sooner, let's say in 5 to 7 years, that opportunity you will get in India. After you get your CPL 200 hours, you get to fly the Airbus 320 or the Boeing 737. So that opportunity you get only in India. So if you want to progress further in your career quickly, then India would be a great place if we compare India and Kenya for an airline job.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for your question, Vandan, and we wish you a great luck with your career. If you want to be preparing for the DGCA exams, you can look up CNTAA Thank you.
Yeah.
Next question.
Moving on to the next one, it's by Inquisitive Boy. So there are 3 questions, so I'll just give an intro and then we start with the number 1. So I'm basically 23 years old working as a software development engineer. Now I have savings of around 25 lakhs, and by the end of the next year, it should reach up to 55 to 60 lakhs from my current job. My priority is to get into airline cockpit as soon as possible. Need help with few doubts. Number 1, would it be a good option to wait and join Cadet Pilot Program with a loan of around 40 to 50 lakh or even more if it increases? What would be the approx timeline having all papers cleared? So firstly, before you give an answer, I'd like to tell Inquisitive Boy that you are doing a great job.
Yeah.
So he's having a savings of 25 and
Yeah.
is expecting it to be turning to around 60 by
Yeah.
the next year end,
Yeah.
which is commendable. So great job in developing things, whatever you're doing right now. So congrats for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing great, man. Why do you want to change profession?
Yeah.
To be
And
honest, it's
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, because as we discussed in the last podcast, first 5 years of pilot training is tough, is rough, is not like very well paying. It pays, it does pay like north of 2.5-3 lakh rupees. That's what pilots make after release, and after completing certain hours. 2.5-3 lakh rupees is what pilots make a month. You're doing that already. It makes me extremely curious. Why do you wanna
Or change? Yeah.
But I get it. Like financial aspect is not the only aspect towards career. So if you have this aspiration, sure. But I would reconsider changing profession at this point. Okay.
Yeah.
Which I did. Like I did change my profession. Chintan did change his profession. So we understand where you come from. Even if the income is good, sometimes you want that. So you want to become a pilot. That's completely your choice, and that is how it should be. So considering that, if you do make the decision to do this, I wouldn't go for conventional pathway in your case. For your age, you're doing pretty good. For your age, you're doing absolutely good. And from that, to get into cadet pilot conventional pathway and then wait for 2 to 3 years until you get the job opportunity, which we are pretty sure that you are likely to get through, because if you are doing this well, you are a conscientious person, and pretty sure you are hardworking, and you did display that in your present career. So absolutely you will do that in this career as well. At the same time, no matter how good a pilot is, there has to be a vacancy to recruit, right? And once you have tasted what earning is like, then not earning for 2 to 3 years becomes a lot difficult.
Yeah.
And 2 years of flight training plus after completion of CPL, 2 to 3 years buffer period is what we would consider if we are to do conventional pathway. So if I were in your shoes, I'd go for Cadet Pilot Program in your case. Absolutely.
Definitely, I agree with it.
The timeline, we discussed timeline, right? Timeline, 2 years, 2 years in order to get your type rating, and roughly about 24 to 30 months in order to be released. The timeline goes like this. Your medicals and your DGCA exams are together. Those are done in roughly about 6 months. That is done. After that, your SPL is issued. The SPL would take around 2 months, so 8 months. And then your flying starts. Flying at Chimes, as you mentioned, takes around 12 months, 12 to 14 months. See, these timelines about flying always keep on varying with respect to the load that each flight school has. Now, some flight schools get overcrowded, and once those get overcrowded, thereafter the completion timeline increases significantly. But right now, probably 12 to 14 months is a reasonable timeline for Chimes. So once you get that, thereafter 2 months in order to get your CPL. Once you get your CPL, then you have roughly about 2 months to be scheduled for a type rating, 2 to 3 months to be scheduled for a type rating, and then 2 months for your type rating, 45 days to 2 months for your type rating. Afterwards, you have endorsement that takes about 2 months, and then another 6 months of airline training, which would include your ground training and your airline bridge course. Once you have the bridge course, then another 6 months of your line training. And once you are done with that line training, then you are a first officer. So just make that addition. So 6 months, 20 months, roughly about 2.5 years. 2.5 years. Yeah, that's the timeline.
Would it be a wise decision to enroll for CPL in India and get assistant flight instructor rating done to log hours, and this way I would be debt free? But my question is, should I be applying for fresher CPL tier vacancies or any other vacancies as experience entries, as a CFO entry requires jet turboprop experience hours. Again, TR I would have to spend. Does airline hire ATPL instructor anywhere apart from fresher vacancy?
Yeah, airlines do hire ATPL holders. If someone is ATPL holder, that person usually doesn't have to wait for the vacancies. That person can directly apply for the airline, and eventually the airline contacts the applicant back, and that's how those inductions are done. Those are ATPL holder vacancies are almost open all the time. ATPL vacancies aren't usually, especially if an ATPL holder has jet engine experience, then it's fairly straightforward to get a job. If you want to be doing the instructor pathway, yeah, you can consider that, absolutely. At the same time, it's not gonna make a lot of difference, to be honest. If you do cadet pilot program, in your case especially, this is not a general conversation for everybody. This is a conversation considering what you have explained specifically, that sooner you get on the jet, your career starts from there sooner, right? Because once you get to an airline, your single engine experience is not as relevant, to be honest. Absolutely, single engine experience teaches us the fundamentals of flying, and those lessons we take with us throughout our pilot career. There is no doubt about that. To this day, we would, and even in future, I'm pretty sure we would. At the same time, flying jets is a lot different than flying single engines. It is significantly different. So if you have an option to get to it, and there's not a lot of it, like financial burden is not a lot considering your situation specifically. If you have 60 lakh rupees, another 35-40 lakh rupees of loan shouldn't be a problem, and in 2.5 years you have a straightforward career pathway that is into an airline. That said, I'd again consider, if you are doing well, why would you? Yeah.
It's the aspiration.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah. The third and the last one is complete TR with some loan, wait for CPL TR vacancies. But what would be the average waiting period? How many vacancies come up for CPL A320 vacancies in 2024, 2025?
Yeah, the exact number we cannot tell you, but at the same time, every year at least 2 vacancies from each airline are there. Akasa, we do not know. Akasa hasn't come up with vacancies lately because they had certain delivery constraint on their aircraft. But hopefully this year Akasa also comes up with vacancies. That's what we are expecting. Apart from that, no matter what, I'd consider the waiting period of 2 years to 3 years, whether the aviation is in good condition or not so good condition. Okay, so
so that is the average buffer period, but we have seen people who have just applied for CPL and the vacancy was out. So by that application receipt, they were able to apply, and before the interview dates, they got their CPL.
Absolutely.
So there was actually zero waiting time. But then there were some candidates who got their CPL and the vacancy just came in. They were not able to apply for that because they were in the last stage of their conversion. So now because of that, they had to wait for 1 year for that vacancy. And then there can be issues like if a student is not able to clear in the first attempt, then it takes 2 years because one vacancy comes in a year and then the cool off period is 6 months and all of those things. So the average buffer is 2 to 3 years.
So I'd like to give an example about this. There are always exceptions, right? There would be an exception where somebody started their pilot training at late 17s and then finished by early 19s and then got a job by early 19s as well. Okay. And there would be another exception where somebody starts by late 18s and then finishes by late 20s, like
20s, yeah.
20 year old.
Mid, yeah.
Yeah, 20-year-old, and then doesn't get a job for 10 years, and then that person gets a job. So this 2 to 3 years is an average. Now, okay, let's talk about airlines. Airlines don't have a business model centered around the lowest prices of oil, like lowest prices of avgas or jet even.
Jet even.
Okay. Neither it is centered around the highest prices of jet even. It's average. That's where everything is calculated from, and that's what keeps them going. That's what makes them profitable. Absolutely, it is adapted with respect to changes in oil prices. At the same time, the core business model is not centered around either the lowest or the highest. So this would be the example for considering 2 years after completion of CPL, where it is, if one person is good at studies, hardworking, meaning conscientious, and is always prepared for 2 to 3 years straight for any airline interview or the exam and everything around it, the psychometry tests and the aptitude tests and everything, it is very less likely in current situation that person not getting a job in roughly about 3 years. That is a reasonable period of time. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Thank you for your question, and I hope that we were able to answer you. Good luck. Good luck with your present career. Good luck with your pilot career if you choose to do so. And we are not discouraging you to do it at all. We would neither encourage or discourage you to do it. We are just curious that why do you want to change your career? Okay. We did it because we like it. So if you do like it strong enough to be doing it for another 45 years of your life, yeah, good luck. You should do it in that case.
Definitely.
All right. Next one is, okay, Raj Goyal is asking, hi brother, can you please let me know if Indian Airlines hire OCI holders or non-Indians?
Indian Airlines do hire people who have OCI card, but for non-Indians or people who have a foreign passport but who do not hold an OCI, Indian Airlines will not hire. So you need an OCI card to be eligible to apply for airlines in India.
Yeah, that's it to that question. And we also discussed this in the first question in detail. So thank you for your question, Raj Goyal. Thank you. Yeah, I'll go with the next question.
Yeah.
All right, Taha has asked, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct, Taha. Hello, my question is, I want to be a pilot. My 12th will be completed in 2 months, but I don't want to settle in India. Where can I work abroad after getting some experience in India rather than Middle East? Thank you.
So let's say if someone doesn't want to work in India as a pilot. So initially there is no option but to work in India as a pilot, gain some experience as you rightly mentioned. And then the options are a bit limited. Okay. First thing is, let's say Middle East, but he or she doesn't want to go to Middle East. Okay. Then Southeast Asia. And if you can manage to get a green card or any other country's citizenship, you are able to work in that country. And there is something called as contract pilots, where you can, if you have let's say if you convert your DGCA license into EASA license, you can work with the contract companies in Europe. But that would be a contract. It won't be a permanent shift. So here, he's pretty clear that he doesn't want to work in India. And he's also clear that, and he's also aware about that he would need some experience to get a job outside India. So initially, let's say 5 years in India, and then you look out for opportunity. Opportunity will be there for sure, but that would need either a work permit or citizenship. people generally go to Middle East, Southeast Asia. If they have a green card, they go to US, or if they have a Canadian CPL, they go to Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to appreciate that you have the knowledge that you need to gain some experience before getting to airlines abroad. Airlines abroad require ATPL and plus some hours on type, roughly about 2000, 1500, 2000, 3000. Some airlines depends on that. Presently, the countries that do offer work permit as a pilot are primarily in Middle East, Vietnam, Hong Kong. Those are
Yeah.
the countries where Indian pilots usually go. China doesn't take Indian pilots. Apart from that, if you want to be going to UK, Europe, or US, or even Canada, pilot career is separate and immigration is separate. These are two different parts. Now, if you want to be going to either of the countries that I just mentioned, you'll have to navigate those alongside one another. You'll have to have a plan in order to get an immigration of the country that you're planning on. That can be by the means of investment, but that can be by the means of some people marry, and different things like yeah. So if your partner is in those countries, maybe you can get the citizenship of those countries or something like that, or there are investment opportunities that one can do. See, this is not an immigration or financial advice, so that's what it is. But those two are completely separate from one another. From India, where usually Indian pilots go, or Asian countries, Middle East, Hong Kong. These are the primary options. We hope that it solves your question, and thank you for your question.
Next question is from Rishabh. Hi, I've been following your podcast for quite a while now. Thank you, Rishabh, for following us, viewing us, watching us, and subscribing to us. I had a question. Since aircraft deliveries are expected to start in bulk around 2028 to 2029, meaning more pilots will be needed, I'm planning to go through the conventional pilot training route since it's more affordable. But I'm a bit worried that many cadet pilots have already applied, which might reduce the chances for conventional pathway pilots.
Hey Rishabh, thank you for your question. And so here's the thing: the output on number of cadets that are there is lesser than the total requirement for pilots each year, and that deficit is completed by the conventional pathway. That's as simple as that. Nothing complicated about it. Do pilots get priority over conventional pathway? Yes. Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely. It's no secret that it does. That is absolutely true. So yeah, that is where the facts are. But is it so that there is no conventional pathway pilots being recruited? No, that's not a fact. It's happening. It happens every year, and not all airlines have cadet pilot programs. And Air India has just started the cadet pilot program. They have the same requirement. So no, the answer is no. That because of cadet pilot program there would be no conventional pathway recruitments. That's not a fact. But would there be reduced conventional pathway recruitments because of cadet pilot program? For sure. But the output of cadet pilot programs is limited, and that's why the conventional pathway for foreseeable future is at least also one of the ways to go. Make sense? Hopefully it does.
Yes, and cadet pilot program, according to me, caters for the airline's projection like what growth they are expecting in 5 years, and that's how the cadet pilot programs are planned. But
Yeah.
I think retirement should also be considered. People changing airlines, people leaving the aviation field. So these are all the miscellaneous things due to which I think conventional pilot vacancy will be there. There won't be any day that there'll be only like cadet pilot programs. There will be hiring or there'll be vacancies for the conventional pilot program, of course.
This is for fresher selection, and experienced pilots are always recruited by almost all the airlines at
Yeah.
any point of time.
Hmm.
Yeah. And where you mentioned 28, 29, the bulk deliveries, matter of the fact, these deliveries are very linear. It's not like one fine year, one airline gets 200 aircraft. No, it's not like that. 200, 300. It's very well distributed along the time of until 2035. So every year there are sufficient deliveries coming in, and with respect to that, there is requirement of pilots. That's what it is.
Yes, and the next question from Rishabh is, do you think it would be a good idea to complete my pilot training, including type rating, in around 2029? Or should I work as a flight instructor, then do my type rating once vacancies open up, since it only takes about a month? And also, I don't want to wait for whole year because my loan repayment would start. So time is an important factor. And one more thing, is it possible to leave an instructor job midway if is it possible to leave an instructor job midway if an airline opportunity comes up? I'm in class 11, doing great with my DGCA subjects. Easily understand most of the topics. I've been super passionate about aircraft since class 8.
That's great to hear, Rishabh. Absolutely. And good luck with your class 12th. Absolutely. Do your best into that. 2029 markets, to be honest, it's beyond us to be able to predict what it will be in 2029. Considering nothing goes wrong, yeah, absolutely. There will be a lot many vacancies by that time. At the same time, it's beyond our capabilities to be predicting what will happen in 2029. Because, because it's still 3 years from now. See, everything is indicating that there will be a lot of requirement. That's all we can tell you. But we cannot certainly tell you that there will be. Yeah, thank you for your question, Rishabh. Good luck. Do well with it. I see your ID also as Rishabh 320. Yeah, that is nice. Yeah, great. Good luck. Keep practicing the simulators and keep on reading stuff. That's about it. Thank you for watching the Pilot Podcast. Krishna Arjun has asked, Hi Nilay sir and Chintan sir, I'm desperate to become a pilot. And I'd like you to train me for it. So thank you, buddy. Thank you for your kind words. Another question from Krishna is that he is an asthma guy, and does he have to disclose it in his class 2 medicals? He hasn't been using any medications for last 4 years. So it's probably the case of child asthma in the younger years. That's what it is. And he is asking that, is it okay if he does not disclose that in his class 2 medicals?
Thank you for your question, Krishna. So let's cover the first question, which is regarding clearing doubts in these exams and training for the Cadet Pilot Program. We would love to do that, but we consult student as of now. And let's say if you're planning to prepare for DGCA exams, we have Capt.Neha who will teach you for the DGCA exams and guide you. Will be there alongside with your journey if you plan to join CNTAA. And that's what we can do.
Absolutely.
And
so Team CNTAA is there to teach you and train you for each of the things that are part of the DGCA modules. And Yeah, so if you are willing to prepare, you can let us know at the same time before you start to do it. Now, that leads us to the next question, because in your case, we'd consider medicals first before
before.
anything else, matter of the fact. Yeah, continue.
And with the medical situation you mentioned, maybe it is for you or maybe it is for someone else. So be honest with the class 2 medical examiner, because what will happen is, let's say if a person goes for class 2 medical examination with medication to hide certain medical problems, they have to go for class 1. Okay, let's say with medication class 1 is also done, but this is not a one time thing. It is supposed to happen every year, and on the 5th year you will have to go to an Air Force medical center as well. And this is just a part of clearing the medicals, which I don't think so should be considered. Second thing is, as you're planning to become an airline pilot, okay, your medicals has to be clear. There should not be any problem in the medicals. So let's say if someone becomes a pilot and has some medical issue and becomes the PIC. So now, as a pilot in command, if something happens to that person, the lives of the passengers are at risk, and the money you will be spending in the training, that will be at risk. So initially, when anyone goes for medical, try to be as honest as possible with the class 2 medical examiners. Get everything sorted by medication, then and there only, then only take step forward to start your pilot training, to start your DGCA ground school. If for any reason any candidate is declared as permanent unfit, which can happen, I'm not saying it is not possible. 1% there are chances that a person can be declared permanently medical unfit. So don't be sad at that point of time, because there are some things which are beyond our control, and we won't be able to control. So maybe this might not be the right career choice, and that person can stick to aviation by joining as a ground staff or a dispatcher or anything in his or her capacity.
See, and this is no medical opinion or anything of that sort. You'll get your medical opinion only from the doctors. Okay. But by lying on any of those tests, if anybody does, then that is the primary rule of character as a pilot that is breached. And if someone does that, no, it's first of all risking so many other lives. Second of all, risking your own life. Even during training, someone who has active asthma, okay, that person flying in a non-pressurized airplane can get hypoxic sooner. In a pressurized aircraft, the time of consciousness for that person is reduced significantly. And asthma is one of the questions on the list, that whether you've ever taken medications for it or asthma is there or not. Mark the truth that there is. That's our only advice. That way, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth the risk, or it's just not morally, ethically, or legally right thing to do, to lie on a class 1 or class 2. Primarily, it is, first of all, it's not the right thing to do for to the passengers that are there and to yourself. Lives are at risk. Serious people are at risk. So no, I wouldn't consider what you are suggesting. Good luck. Okay. And here's the thing. You mark the truth, and if the doctor says that if you do this test, and if you pass through that, you'll be considered as fit. Great. Awesome. Perfect. We are no doctors to tell you whether what it is. We don't mean to be the bearers of bad news in here, but no, do not cheat those tests at all. It's nobody. Good luck.
Good luck. Moving on to the next question, which is...
And I'd like to add, it's like when someone mentions that I'm too desperate to become a pilot. It's understandable, buddy. It is a dream. It is absolutely a dream job. It's completely understandable. But it is not the only one. You can do so many good things in life. There's like so many good things out there that you could be doing. Okay? It's not the only one. It's a great one for sure. That's why we do it. Time and again, we talk about it, why we do it. At the same time, it's not the only one. Okay? Good luck. And if you have been watching this podcast, you know that we won't ever be in support of lying. No. Support of lying. Okay? We won't be in that. Absolutely not. Good luck.
Moving on to the next question, which is from Preet Jain. Dear sir, greetings. I'm Preet. I'm from Bhopal, currently in class 12th, and extremely excited about starting my aviation journey. First, thank you so much for creating such insightful episodes on your podcast. Thank you very much for watching our podcast. I've learned a tremendous amount from them and have watched nearly everyone. Thank you for watching the podcast again. I'm planning to join Cadet Pilot Program soon, but I'm confused whether to go for Air India Cadet Pilot Program or Cadet Pilot Program from other airlines. I'm also worried about career progressions if I join Air India Cadet Pilot Program. Could you please guide me which program might be better suited at this point of time? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thank you once again for your valuable content and time.
Hello, Breechan. Okay, to be honest, all the cadet pilot programs in India are good. They have a letter of intent upon successful passing of all selection rounds, and as long as you successfully complete your training, you will be inducted in that airline. There is no job guarantee in cadet pilot program either, but it is a letter of intent to recruit. And in most cases, most cases, as in almost all cases, everybody who finishes their training successfully are recruited. So pick whichever is open at the time when you are ready for it. Okay, that's all we would say. We don't have any bias towards those. So whichever floats your boat. And essentially, these are the big airlines. So you're good. Don't worry about it. Whichever you want, pick that. Essentially, whichever is open at the time when you are ready to apply for it. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Right? That's it.
Yeah,
Thank you
and
for
one-
yeah,
yeah.
thank you for your question.
Yeah, and Preet, one more thing I would just like, as you mentioned that you are in your class 12th, and I'm assuming that March would be the month of examination. So all the best for your exams. And once your exams are done, if you're planning to go for the Cadet Pilot Program, you can start preparing for your DGCA exams, as it will give you a good information and knowledge about the technical aspect of aviation, which would help you in your Cadet Pilot Program preparation.
Vima Ishwar has asked, I'm currently doing BTech with mechanical, and I'm doing NCC with Technical Staff Air Force. I'd like to join into aviation after completing my engineering. Is that possible to join? Would NCC certificate help me to become a pilot?
After completing your BTech, you can become a pilot. All you need is your 12th in maths and physics, and you can apply for your computer number, start with these exams, clear RTR, join your flight training, get a CPL, and then apply for the airlines. So yes, it is possible to become a pilot after you complete your BTech. Secondly, if you have an NCC certificate, will it help you to become a pilot? So if you have an NCC certificate on your CV, it will definitely add up the value and it will outshine your CV.
Absolutely, 100%. It is, if you have any experience with respect to, like you said, you have technical staff, Air Force, NCC. So that is great, no doubt about it. And anytime, if someone with such accolades is applying, it is considered more seriously for sure. So you don't have to worry about it. And definitely it'll help you in the selection. Absolutely. It is likely to help you, not it will, but it is likely to help you. And good luck with your mechanical engineering also. So thank you for writing us.
Yeah, thank you. Moving on to the next question, which is from Yash Rasal. Hi Nilay and Chintan, I'm Yash. Hi Yash. I just wanted to know about what is the integrated program while doing CPL. I've checked the websites of CAA and CAA Gondia. They mentioned that candidates ground training is included in the course. So do I have to join a ground school before enrolling into the flying school or not? Thanks in advance for input.
No, you don't have to join a ground school. We suggest you to join a ground school because usually the ground training associated with most flight schools is not up to the mark. It's just for the records, or it's just for that they have a ground training facility which every FTO is mandated to have. So that's what it is. But the training quality for the ground training is not as good in most FTOs. CAE is known to have a good ground training quality, but still it is, in order to do the DGCA exams well and understand concepts, it completely depends on your instructor. So that's your choice, buddy. How is your grasping and how are things with you? That's how I'd make a decision for it. But if you want to be clearing DGCA exams in relatively shorter period and also understand the concepts while learning it, yeah, we'd recommend you join a ground school. At the same time, is it mandatory? Definitely it is not mandatory. You can clear DGCA exams without joining a flight school, without joining a ground school. You can just get a computer number, apply for the DGCA exams, and if you have studied well, if by yourself, yeah, you can pass the DGCA exams. Nothing is stopping you. That's all you need in order to pass the DGCA exams. But in order to actually understand the concepts and in order to score good in the DGCA exams and in order to understand how the questions are, how the test prep is and everything, for that we recommend you joining a ground school. That's about it.
Yeah, and we definitely recommend you joining CNTAA.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. None of it is mandatory. Okay. The flight hours are mandatory. Passing DGCA exams is mandatory, but you can pass DGCA exams without joining any flight school or ground school. Okay, Bhakti Soni has asked that she is in class 9th right now. She is interested in becoming a pilot. Is it recommended to do DGCA exams with 12th or after 12th? What is beneficial?
Hi Bhakti, thank you for your question. So in my opinion, DGCA exams immediately after completing your 12th last paper is recommended. Like to start these exam preparation immediately after your 12th exams. Now there are students who are excited. I know it is very interesting to study for these exams. It is very interesting to start your pilot journey. But starting that in your 11th or 12th is not a good option or wouldn't be beneficial, because I generally recommend to focus on your 11th and 12th to understand the basics of maths and physics, and try to score above 75% in your maths and physics. So if you are in your class 9th row, focus on your 10th, try to score above 75% in maths and physics subjects individually. In your 12th, try to study and score about 75% in your maths and physics. And then once you're done with your 12th, that is the right time to start studying for your DGCA exams.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's about it. Good luck. Good luck with your 10th. Good luck with your 12th, and score as good as possible in those subjects. In the meanwhile, out of curiosity, if you want to be reading about flying and all of those things, then please do so. Thank you for watching this podcast. We hope that you are getting some insight about aviation from watching this podcast, and we wish you a great luck. Thank you, Bhakti.
Thank you. Next question is from Ojas Pawar. Is there any written exam for physics, maths, and English in the Cadet Pilot Program selection process? If yes, is it MCQ or theoretical? And what is the syllabus for it? How tough is it? And do we really need classes for it?
Okay, it's essentially 12th level physics, maths, and English. That's what it is, and there are sample question papers from which you would get understanding of the type of the questions that are asked. These are essentially basic physics from coming from 10th and 12th. Maths is also basic maths. It's not gonna be derivatives, integrations, or anything like that. At the same time, mental math is very much important. It is time sensitive. You are given with a limited time in order to solve number of questions. Apart from that, that continues in the interviews as well, where you are asked to solve certain time, distance, speed, rate of climb kind of questions, where you need to be able to do it with just your mental math capabilities. Apart from that, what is important is in mental math, yeah, you may practice a lot of mental math. Essentially, if you practice those types of questions, say 20, 30, 50 questions every single day, time and again and again and again, it just becomes your second nature, and you are able to do that mental math problem, without any struggle in less than 10 to 15 seconds, max 30 seconds. And in order to solve those problems in 20, 30 seconds is a reasonable period of time, which is considered by every interviewer as well. It's not a problem. What is more important is listening to the problem correctly and being an active listener when the problem is being asked, the question is being asked, and what is your state of mind when that question is being asked. So that's about, those are 2 cents. English, normal English comprehension is expected, and writing, reading, comprehension, and all of those things. That's about this question. Anything else do you want to add?
That's it. Yeah.
Atharva Chauhan has asked, is beard allowed after being selected as a cadet during training period?
Hi Atharva, thank you for your question. So beard is allowed as a cadet when you are in the training period, and that varies from airline to airline, but generally 4 beard is allowed by most of the airlines. Second thing is, as you mentioned, cadet. So let's say when you are preparing for your selection process, it has to be clean shaved. Okay. So the beard, there's no beard allowed during the selection process, and they are very strict about it. So whenever you're going for an interview process, make sure you're clean shaven. And when you are training at a flight school, generally 4 beard is allowed by most of the airlines. But you just cross check with the airline you're training for, and I think it should be fine.
Absolutely. Yeah, beard is no problem as long as it is well groomed.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. Moving on to the next question, which is from Shahil Jha. Hello, captains. My name is Sahil, currently training in a flight school and just soloed few days ago. Congratulations, Sahil, for getting solo released and doing your first solo slide.
That's awesome.
And doing your first solo flight. I have 2 questions. What are the things that I should do from now onwards during my flight training phase so that I can be one of the finest candidates in the airline interview?
First of all, we appreciate the aspiration to, and you're looking forward to that stage when you're sitting in that airline interview and you want to be preparing yourself for it. So what you can do for it is essentially you have already done your DGCA exams is what we assume. Keep on revising those time and again and again and again. Okay. Second is focus what's in front of you right now. Now you're released first solo. There's so many skills that you'd be learning in coming period of time. So I don't know who said this, but it's like how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So how you do at your training right now is how you will do everything that you do in future. So if tomorrow's lesson is say localizer approaches, non-precision approaches in your instrument training. How do you do that? What do you do it? Okay, then we'll get into the specifics. The specifics being understanding of Jepson charts, understanding of instrument procedures, understanding of Jepson airway manuals, and all of those things. We'll go over that. At the same time, say tomorrow you are scheduled for localizer approaches, non-precision approaches. What do you do a day prior? What do you do 2 days prior to that? Is tomorrow I'm gonna learn this. I'd read everything about non-precision approaches, how they are executed. I'd read into the Jepson plate of the airports that you are gonna do the non-precision approach for whatever the runways that are there. I'd read through the airport reference pages that are there on your Jepson. Are there any specific procedures for that particular airport? All of these things you do, and then you visualize the whole flight. That I'd be parked on this stand, I'd do the pre-flight, I'd do your checklists and everything. Then I'd get the clearance. Then I'd switch to this frequency for ground. Then I'd switch to tower frequency. Then after departure, I'll change to the departure frequency at so and so altitude. Is it an auto changeover? Is it not an auto changeover? At what altitude, what airspace is there? All of these things. I'll just submerge my mind into it and let it absorb. And do visualize the whole flight that's gonna happen the next day. And once I'm done with that, I'll do it from start again. And then I'll do it again. You do it 3 to 4 times. When you get into that flight is no surprise for you. You've done it in your mind already 3 to 5 times. And then one fine day it's your check. If you have been doing this for each flight of yours, this is just an example of localizer approaches, okay, or non-precision approach. Now, if one fine day it is your check, is it any different for you to go for that flight? Absolutely not.
No. Yeah.
If you go that way for your each sim on A320 or ATR or Boeing 737, if you are setting yourself up to that standard of preparing for that flight so many times in advance, then yeah, utilize the time right? If you just do that, if you utilize that time right in because here's the thing, none of it is too difficult to study. There is just a lot to study. That's the only thing about aviation, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like a fire hose in the face initially.
Initially, there's a sea of knowledge to be absorbed.
Exactly.
In like a very short span of time.
Yeah.
And that can only happen, like you said, like you go through it over and over, revise it. And you revise it so much that it becomes a normal day for you.
Yeah, exactly. And we time and again say experience matters a lot. But imagine someone who has done these 3-5 mental revisions before each flight for the what is in other words also called as chair flying. Okay, that person at 200 hours essentially has 600 hours because that person has mentally done it 3 times. Would behave like that person has. See, nothing can replace actual flying. Okay, nothing can, but it's the closest thing that there is. That's what we'd recommend you to do. Okay, and yeah, utilize time, right? And be strong. On your worst day, you're not as bad as you think you are. On your best day, you're not as good as you think you are. I didn't write this. Somebody else did. I don't remember who did. Okay, but whoever did it was a very wise person. So I'd keep that thought and I'd do that. Yeah. Hope that helps. Make sense?
Yes, definitely. And one more thing I would like to add is, apart from the chair flying, like you mentioned, and revision, all that consists of a lot of technical knowledge. Okay, like as he mentioned that he want to become one of the finest candidates in the airline interview. So airline interview is a very different thing, because most of the people who have just cleared their 12th, they'll be appearing for that interview, and it will be their first interview in life. Okay, so now when they go for their interview, they need to communicate. Okay, so that can't happen directly in the interview. So while you're training, you also improve on your communication, you also improve on your personality, and you also study the general aviation affairs. What are the things happening in the aviation industry, why it is happening, go deep into it, discuss with the instructors at the flight school. So in that way, you are communicating, you are speaking with a lot of different people, and then you are accumulating knowledge as well, which will in turn help you during your airline interview. So working on your personality is also equally important. Absolutely. As you work on your knowledge.
Yeah. So 100%. So that is a completely different tangent on this preparation, which would be airline interview preparation, where there is technical preparation, what we discussed with respect to how you do anything is how you do everything. In that syllabus itself, you also have your non-technical preparation. Non-technical preparation is with respect to HR, where, like Chintan said, that your communication skills, then your grooming and all of those things are part of non-technical questions. Okay, so non-technical questions would be, tell me about yourself, and there's a list of those. Okay, so considering that, you prepare yourself, and if you do put yourself, if you imagine yourself in that chair, and you know those questions that are gonna be asked, tell me about yourself, why did you choose to become a pilot, how was your pilot training experience, why South Africa, and all of those things. Just think about those non-technical questions that are there, and prepare those in your head. Not mug it up. Interviews are more like a conversation rather than a question and answer. It's like, definitely the interviewers have a lot more authority than the person being interviewed. At the same time, it is a conversation. It's a to and fro. It's not a one-way exchange. So that's about non-technical. Yeah.
Yes. And second question from Sahil is, I'm dicey about becoming an instructor in India, as I have to invest additionally 6 to 7 lakhs for my instructor rating, but then I wonder what would I do once I have my Indian CPL but no vacancies. So I want to know what's your opinion on this. Won't the flying school make me sign a contract where I can't leave the FTO for X amount of time, because of this I would miss the airline interviews if there are any during my working period as an AFI.
Yeah, flight schools do make you sign up to 3 years of contracts, and depending on that, your AFI training, the pattern flying training costs vary. If someone is signing 1 year contract, the better flying cost will be higher. If someone is signing 3 years, it may be at no cost or at minimal cost or something like that. That depends flight school to flight school. At the same time, if you are in a financial position to be able to support yourself for 2 to 3 years, considering current situation, after completion of CPL, get the CPL converted and then afterwards get a type rating, then you are in a very good position and very much ready in order for any job opportunity that may come at the time. That's my view, right?
And that depends upon the budget as well.
Yeah.
If you are okay to spend additionally for type rating, you can go for it. Otherwise, let's say if you want to save money and earn money and then go for type rating, it's better to go for instructor rating.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Sahil. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your kind words, and really appreciate you watching this podcast. We hope that you got some information that solved certain doubts of yours. Thank you. Good luck, Sahil. Yeah. Next question. Hi, my name is Raghav. I'm an aspiring pilot and I've already chosen my ground classes and flight school. I'm going to appear for 12th boards in 2026 and I'll start my aviation journey. Give me your best suggestion which you think you would have received when you started your training. By the way, I learn a lot from this channel and I get motivated one step further after watching every podcast. Thank you for everything. Would love to seek your blessings to have a wonderful journey ahead. I'm passionate to become a pilot since childhood. I swear I'll crack it. Thank you for such kind words, Raghav. Like, really appreciate it. Thank you. And one advice, one suggestion in that's a very open question. So thank you. We need to think over this, to be honest.
Yes, and thank you, Raghav, for watching this podcast, and we are glad that you learned from this podcast. And I'd just like to point out the first line which you mentioned, as you have already chosen your ground classes and your flying school. And I'm pretty sure that your ground classes will be CNTAA, and if it's not CNTAA, so that's the suggestion I would like to give you that be a part of CNTAA, one of the best ground school, and from there your journey will be great. And for flying school, what I would suggest is better to not choose anything right now, as in when you start your, let's say, your DGCA ground school, and when you're ready to apply for a flying school, at that point of time you see what is the condition of the flight school, or you take reviews from students who are training at that flight school, because the management of a flying school is not same throughout the period. Let's say 5-10 years, people, let's say instructors, they leave for airlines, there are new instructors coming up, there's new deputy pilot coming up, and the aircraft orders and everything keeps on changing. So for flight school, 1 year prior you can research about it, and then you can decide on the flying school. Definitely will guide you for it. And that's my 2 cents on this thing. And you're going to appear for your 12th boards as well, so all the best for your 12th exams. And once you're done with your 12th boards, we'd like to have a conversation with you and give you our suggestions.
Absolutely. Okay, so give me your best suggestion when which you think you would have received when you started. Yeah, we'll both give one.
Yeah, so I don't know if it is like, if it can count as a suggestion, because when I started my journey, okay, so basically pilot training requires large amount of money. Okay, so when I started my pilot training, there was one thing for me is that I have to go all in. Okay. I can't leave any room, or I can't be complacent in anything. So if I'm going for my flight training, I just focus on it for 2 years. I do whatever it takes to succeed at this. There's no leeway given to it. There's no, like, let's say if I'm feeling low or anything, I have to get up, I have to work. I don't have to focus on how I'm feeling, but I have to get things done no matter what. So that is what I got suggestion from my parents, that we are investing in you such a huge amount. So better succeed at it, because after this it would be difficult to do something else, right?
Yeah.
So that is one thing
Absolutely.
from my side. Yeah.
So in one sentence, if we have to put it in, that would be whether you want to or you don't want to is irrelevant, but you need to do it, so you will do it. Right?
Yeah, very well said.
Yeah. I'm confused between two one-liners on this. Which one should I have? This. Okay. It is far more important to be a good person than only a great pilot. And if you are the former, you will definitely be the latter. That is what I'd say. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's deep, but very well said.
It is far more important to be a good person rather than just a great pilot. And if you are good at the former, meaning being a good person, you'll definitely be
a
good
great
at
pilot. Yeah.
That's it. Guys, thank you for watching, viewing, subscribing. And it's been 1.5 hours since we have been speaking. So thank you if you're still here. We really, really appreciate your attention.
Yes. And thank you for watching this Q&A session until now. And thank you for all your questions. If you have more questions, you can drop down in the comment section of this episode, and we will answer them in the next Q&A episodes. Until then, have a good day, and thank you for viewing this podcast.
Yeah. We wish you a great career ahead of you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.